Hello and welcome to Any Given Sew Day Patterns. I'm Diane Marte and welcome. This is my very first tutorial for my pattern line that I've just launched. So with this particular tutorial, I'm going to be working with my butterfly top. Now what I love about the butterfly top is that it's so easy and you should be able to sew it within the hour. Yes, from cut to finish. 1 hour. That's how easy it is. It's also a really flattering top. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, and you can use many different fabrics with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over all the fabrics, materials, and also the different pattern pieces that you need, and there are only 3 of them. So I'll be right back. When it comes to fabrics, especially for this butterfly top, I like to just stick with single knit jerseys. Because it's a 1 hour shirt, you can look for anything that's a top weight that's under 7 ounces. So you don't have to worry about anything that's see-through or peeking through or anything that is gonna show any kind of chub. So for this tutorial specifically, I'm going to show you how to lay out a V-stripe with this material. This is a cotton yarn dye. So this is a stripe, so we're gonna work with this material. It's about 5 ounces, so it's really light in weight and it's machine washable. And if you're interested in purchasing it, please let me know because I have about 65 yards of it left. So if you like the fabric, I will definitely cut you a deal, but just get in contact with me or just inbox me, all right? Now, with this material, I don't have too much of it. I'm not sharing, sorry. This is a wool jersey, and I love it because it's about 7 ounces. So it's nice, it's comfortable, and it is also washable. Yeah, can you imagine a washable wool jersey that won't shrink? Yeah. I'm waiting for pigs to fly. I guess they're flying. I don't know where they are, but this is it. This fabric is really pretty and it works really well with anything really. I mean, you can make a top out of it, you can make bottoms out of it. It's thick enough and it has about 5% of stretch. Now we're getting ready to prepare the fabric and lay down the pattern. So the first thing that I like to do even before we go to laying out the pattern of the fabric is to find the grain line, and I actually like to fold it because it's going to be easier for me to find grain when I actually fold the pattern itself. So we're going to go ahead, fold both the front and back bodices. And I've already done the work to, let me do this right here so you can see it. I've already done the work to lay the fabric out, so it's on the fold and it's on the grain. So all we have to do is find the grain line. So for me, I like to actually start working with the grain, and I kind of have to get in a little close, okay? So I don't want my head to get in the way because I want you to see what's going on right here. But once I find grain and I'm aligned with the wales of the jersey stitches, and the wales are the little stitches that you see, they run vertically. That's grain. Now, typically for commercial patterns, I actually don't draw the vertical line for grain. I draw a line for stretch going across because it's important that when we do cut this pattern out, that there is stretch. Most of the time, when you're working with knits, there's either a 2-way or a 4-way stretch. This specific jersey, the wool that I'm working with, has a 4-way stretch, which is going to be good because then you don't really have to worry about anything. So now I'm going to work with placing the back bodice pattern. So I'm going to show you a little trick to kind of save on time. I'm going to fold over that grain line to the other side. Oops. And I'm gonna fold the pattern piece to the other side so that we can kind of save on fabric, because it doesn't really matter which way we're cutting, especially if there's a center back seam. Okay, so we have here, and we place them. So I'm gonna move this up a little, and this I'm going to move down. Oops. Making sure that it's on grain. I'm sorry you're gonna see my head for a second. And all the pattern pieces are on grain. We've saved a little bit on fabric. So you can kind of get away with working, maybe, I like to just say to get 2 yards, just in case. All right, so next I folded the neckband. So that can stay on the fold. And then we're just gonna mark where the center line is for that neckband. And now we're ready to cut. Not cut. Now we're ready. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now we're ready to trace. So instead of pinning the patterns, I actually like to trace my patterns because it's just easier. And then I'm also gonna show you a trick, because I don't like cutting out notches for knits, and I definitely don't like cutting into fabric for notches, because if you're working with a knit, sometimes the knit will have a run, especially when you're working with thin, slinky interlocks. They run. So I'm gonna show you how to mark, and right now I'm gonna be tracing. So I'm gonna start here. And what I like about tracing the pattern more so than actually cutting the pattern is that you're gonna get a way more accurate cut, which means it's gonna be a more accurate fit, and it's way faster. And I'm using with me right now, I have a Choco pen. So this pen you can get for, I think, $8 on Amazon or at Joann.com or at any Joann stores. But I try Amazon first because it's just, it'll be less expensive, I think. You'll probably get a better deal. All right, so what I'm doing here for my notches, I'm going to mark the opposite end from my notches. All right. And there you have a traced pattern. Let me just extend this line. There we go. Now it's a traced pattern, so next I'm just going to mark my notches. You can use a chalk pen, or what I like to do is to also use a fabric marker. So I'm just gonna mark it right in the seam allowance so that no one will ever know that it was ever even there except for you when you have it on the inside. Or when you stitch it, you'll see it a little bit in the seam allowance, but not so much. All right, so next you're gonna do the same thing with your back bodice pieces and your neckband. All right, so go ahead and trace and then mark, and then I'll show you what to do after that. So here's a quick tip. For those of you who don't want a center front or center back seam, you can always just draft it out. All you have to do is just get rid of that center front seam allowance. The seam allowances for this pattern are 3/8 of an inch. So you just have to draw a line with a see-through ruler at 3/8 of an inch, like this. Let me get it here. Like this. And then instead of cutting it out, because you may want the seam allowance a little later, we're going to just put it on the fabric on the fold. So all we have to do is just place that pattern on the fold minus that 3/8 inch seam allowance. See what I did right here? That's what you're going to be doing. And then all you have to do is weigh it down again and then trace with a chalk pen. And there you have it, no center front seam.